Assalamu alaikum. I'm Khadija from the third semester of BS Social Sciences. Welcome to the 35th Annual General Meeting and Conference brought to you by PIDE in collaboration with IM Sciences. Today's session is titled Climate Change and it is chaired by Mr. Abdul Razik. Over to you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for joining this session on climate change. Um, I am with the World Bank. As you know, climate change is posing systemic risk to development in this country, but everywhere. From the World Bank, we're putting a lot of emphasis on climate change and trying to make sure that it's really addressed and factored in every developmental challenge that we're trying to look at. I read the 3 papers for this session today, and I learned a lot from them. So I'm really excited about this session. I'm sure we would all learn new things from these 3 papers. So let's go quickly on these 3 papers. Hopefully we'll be very strict with the time, so we can have a good debate and a question and answer toward the end of each session. Let me first introduce the first presenter. The topic is going to be on food price puzzle and climate change, an application of machine learning. Very exciting paper by the authors Abdul Subhan and Nabila Khurshid, Zarwa Shah, Isman Shakur. Sorry if I butchered your names. So whoever the presenter for this paper, please come over. And then this paper, the discussant is going to be Adil Shafkat.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, the contents of the presentation, introduction, motivation, existing literature, research gaps, research objectives, and then data, trade units, and sources. And then we will discuss the methodology, which is matrix visualization. Then we have descriptive analysis and machine learning analysis, conclusions, and the recommendations. First of all, the introduction. Food price puzzle is one of the key headaches in emergent economies, which has made the breach of layman miserable. Food price puzzle has spillover effect that can be perceived from a young to an aged person, and it has effect equally low and the high income people. And being a developing nation, Pakistan is also fronting a challenge of food price puzzle. And FAO, Food and Agriculture Organizations of United Nations, has defined the food price puzzle is the food price instability or extreme food price shocks around a long time trend that threaten the food security. And the evidence is available in the Food Crisis 2008. It stated that the food price puzzle in Pakistan generates malnutrition issues. Yes, it can transmute the weak people hungry, and which further spill over the low output, further incur healthcare expenses, lessening the budget of the people for schooling and transportations. Therefore, the exploration of food price puzzle is very important to fortify the objective of zero hunger, which is set off in the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Studies reveal that there are 2 main sources of food price volatility. The first source is international and the second source is domestic. And if we see the trends in wheat prices, rice price and the maize price, we will definitely very clearly see that 2000 to 2004 the prices are almost stable, but there is upward trend, and the main reason that scientists and the policymaker show the cause are the droughts. And after that, the 2007 and 8 global food crisis caused the upsurge in the prices. And after that, the 2010 to 2015, the upsurge in prices are mainly due to the flood situation in Pakistan. And now, to 2019 to onward, the increase in prices is due to the currency depreciation and the macroeconomic volatility in Pakistan. And almost the same trends is followed by maize and the rice prices. And moving to the climate change. Climate change is an established reality all over the world, and Pakistan is facing an alarming music of this unavoidable velocity. And Pakistan is placed at the 5th place, the most vulnerable country due to climate change, and the reason is due to the energy emissions, the emissions from the industrial sectors, and also the cutting of the trees. Meanwhile, the climate of Pakistan is attributable for weather conditions and suitable for the harvesting crop including wheat, rice and maize. In 2010 to 2015, the massive floods have doubled down 0.84 million hectares of wheat, 2.5 million tons of rice, and sharply upsurged their prices. So, climate change caused the major issue, which is the food price puzzle and the food price volatility. And now, in this conference, we are discussing about the opportunities, and the artificial intelligence is the biggest opportunity and the upcoming silver bullet solution to food price puzzle and to climate change. AI positions pillar to post with farmers in operations like self-guided tractors by GPS navigational systems, drones for monitoring crops, and robots to take cow hand jobs. The Consultative Group for International Agriculture Research broadened the affordable AI and big data solutions to a wide range of farmers, and the shed of robust evidence is available from SIGAR won the United Nations Innovation Prize 2019 for the accurate prediction of rice harvests from weather patterns that help farmers in planting and save masses of money. United Nations chiefly spotlight on extreme food insecurity as a part of Sustainable Development Goal, and it is predicted that the global population rises from 7.6 billions to the 10 billions in 2050, and 70% more food will be demanded. So, this is high time to switch technological solutions like artificial intelligence by now, and Pakistan has a huge potential for these sustainable solutions. Most of the previous literature has focused on food price puzzle at national and international level using oil prices, exchange rate, money supply, and interest rate, but not a single study is available that explores the association between climate change and the food prices. And this study is addressed these issues by machine learning technique, which is matrices visualization. This method helps to visualize and analyze data and also indicative for the advanced analysis, and also advantages in dimensionality reduction, feature selection, better decision making, time saving, and cost effective means to investigate that bring off artificial intelligence. Research objective to analyze the correlation of climatic shocks, drought, and floods with food price puzzle in Pakistan to examine the most relevant variable from regional data set. This technique is called the feature selection. Data and sources, we use 5 variable wheat, rice and maize prices and find their correlation with climatic variables like rainfall and the temperature. The units are mentioned here. And now moving toward the material and methods. The matrix visualization was invented by American statistician Michel Faraday in 2002, and it made the corollagram, and corollagram has the different colors which show the association of with the strength of correlation between different variables, and also help in the dimensionality reduction. So what is dimensionality reduction mean? In big data set there are a lot of variables in thousands and in more than thousands. So if we see their correlation between them, it is very difficult job. So we can judge easily by their colors. And 2 periods we selected for matrix visualization, the drought periods and the flood period. Descriptive analysis that show that all variables have symmetric distribution except rice, rainfall and the temperature, while rice and temperature were negatively skewed. Statistic kurtosis show that all variables is plateautic as the peak is lower than the benchmark. This also implies that all variable series have short tail than normal, and curve expect the rainfall which is lipocytic and has further tail as compared to normal. Now without wasting time, we will go to the machine intelligence analysis. In machine intelligence analysis, you can see the different corollograms. The corollograms show the association of variables by different colors, and the lighter the color, the higher the correlation, and the darker the color, it's mean the lower the correlation. We are using only 3 variables in the first matrices, while in big data there are a lot of variables and it is very difficult to judge the correlation of all the variables. So at experimental level we use only 2 variables and judge their correlation. which helped our time saving. First, the correlation between the rice and the wheat price is minus 0.42, and similarly the correlation between the rice and rainfall is minus 0.3, and the correlation between maize price and the rainfall is minus 0.35. The results are outlined with a prior expectation to the agriculture economy of Pakistan. We expect during drought time the productivity decrease, so there will be increase in prices. But during drought time, the rainfall has a negative association. Studies show that the summer drought has impact on crop, so the prices will upsurge, but the winter drought has no impact. So on the national level, the prices will decrease. If we see the correlation between temperature and the rainfall, temperature and the wheat price, it is 0.3, shown by the moderate orange color, and the correlation between temperature and the rice is 0.082, which is very negligible, and the temperature and the maize price is 0.11. So we can see that the temperature has a positive association during the drought time. Increased temperature during summer crop hurt crop yield up to affect the crop yield, so it will cause upsurge in the prices, and it is also statistical significant. We can see here the association between rainfall and prices is statistical significant, and also the temperature with wheat prices. So in the drought period, the features are the temperature and the rainfall. If we go for the advanced analysis for rice and maize, we will not include temperature in this time period because it is statistical insignificant. So the two important features are rainfall and temperature for maize, and the same for the floods. Our both rainfall and temperatures are the main features because they are statistical significant.
Any,
And now there is conclusion.
can we do it
The
quickly?
current
please?
study evaluated monthly data set for rainfall, temperature, wheat, maize, rice for 2000 to January 2011. The first period is January 2000 to December 2004 drought, and the second period for data from January 2010 to December 2015. Now going to the precise conclusions. Result discovered that during drought period 2002 to 2004 rainfall has negative association with wheat, rice and maize prices. Meanwhile, temperature has a positive association. Furthermore, during the flood period 2010 to 2015, rainfall has positive linkage. Meanwhile, temperature has negative association with wheat, maize prices except rice prices. Rainfall is an important feature of food price puzzle during drought, while both rainfall and temperature are important features during floods.
Why you have used the price data? Why not productivity data? Shouldn't be related to productivity.
Yes, that most of the work in previous work with productivity, but not single study addressed this issue with prices. And currently the prices is more hot topic because make it life miserable for the layman. So that's we
But
discuss.
prices could be affected by a number of other factors.
Yes. At
Not only
experiment,
that,
yes.
we have control for the factors.
No. At experimental level, we used only two variable of climate, like rainfall and temperature, to assess their correlation with prices. Because in big data, there are many variables, and we cannot, for time saving, we not include all variables. So we only include the important variable, which are the main feature of the study that affect the target variable. So this is the time saving, and we can, if we have data set of other variables, we can use this.
So that you use just correlations to see the impact of climate change and so generally price have a lot of data and so do you think that your result was the robust result or the correlation?
Yes, you are right. There are many variables that affect prices, but we did experiment using two variables: climate and climatic rainfall and temperature. This study can be extended with more than 1,000 variables. More than one, if we have the data set, and we can replicate with more than 1,000 variables. It is just an experimental study to describe two climate variables with prices. Got it?
How are you going to put it in simple words for me in Urdu?
ठीक है. अब आज से पहले जो हम एनालिसिस कर रहे हैं वो एक तो बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम
वो
कंज्यूमिंग है।
एनालिसिस को क्या समझेगा? मैं अनपढ़ आदमी, आपने कहा एनालिसिस रिलेशनशिप।
अच्छा, वो अब रिलेशनशिप इसमें ये है कि अब हम जो है एडवाइस
आपने रिलेशनशिप इस्तेमाल किया, मैं
जी।
रिलेशनशिप नहीं समझता।
ताल्लुक उसका आपस में जी कि अब प्राइसेस का जो फार्मर है कि प्राइस का उसके बारिश के साथ और उसके टेम्परेचर के साथ क्या एसोसिएशन है, उसको एसोसिएशन यानी कि ताल्लुक क्या है उसका आपस में, बारिश का और टेम्परेचर का।
Okay. More questions on the back? Anybody? And we need to take questions from.
You can use many variables. Do you think these two variables give us a sound policy implications about climate change?
No, this is our experimental study that we did only two variables because you know the data of climate change is expensive and not available easily. We get this data from meteorological department and it's paid and we get only two series, rainfall and temperature, and they have sunlight, radiations and so on. So we can, if we have financial support or time, we can replicate with other variables as well. It's just an experimental study for policymakers. They can save their time to make policies for with more variables using this machine learning approach.
What are your policy innovations about the food security and climate change?
Government should provide farm advisory services for weather forecasting about temperature extremes and rainfall patterns via videos, text messages, and coordination meetings. And farmers can also change their timing and date of crops and choose suitable cultivars with diminishing the probability of price puzzle. And further, the government should provide a better access of crop insurance schemes to farmers in case of crop loss during droughts and floods. And lastly, there are other seeds as well that grow these crops that are drought resistant, like quinoa for wheat and direct seed rice for rice, simple rice, and 10 seed international for maize. And this study can also be replicated at district level data set, and also for other crops, cotton, sugar, and barley, and as a guiding principles for other crops as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Is there any last question?
Yeah, I think Mina should comment.
Sir, I would like to
Yeah.
give the suggestion that instead of using the prices alone, if you add according to sir productivity or one or two more variables, this will give weight to your study.
Yes, you are right.
Because prices alone is not giving a sufficient weight.
Yes, you are right.
So you have to show the magnitude of the problem.
Yes. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Our next presentation is on information and communication technology and CO2 emission, nexus for Asian economy. The study is done by Muhammad Tariq Najib, Amna Ahsan, and Maria Mazhar. So, representative, please.
The topic which we have selected, information and communication technology and CO2 emissions nexus for Asian economies, evidence from heterogeneous income groups. First of all, I want to discuss the motivation for this study, that why is it necessary to associate ICT with carbon emissions. In economics, through neoclassical growth theory, we understand that technology is an important ingredient of growth and productivity. So all economies across the world are focusing on enhancing their technological capacity, development, and skills. So for rest assured, technology is good for growth, but whether technology is good for the environment, for ecological system, for atmosphere, so there is heated debate. So is technology contributing to support the environment, or it is deteriorating the environment? So it is my motivation, and other my motivation is for this research is my personal observation that now we are living in 21st century. Even today, sometimes we have to travel miles, many miles, using petrol, emitting emissions for some work which can be easily done through online payment or online system. But we still today we are not adopting efficient technologies, in particularly in Asian economies. ICT is an extension of traditionally known concept of information technology. The notion got particularly popularity after the World War II, but the ICT actually started developing since 2000. Although the term ICT has no universal definition, it generally means all devices, components, networking and systems that allow people to interact with each other in the digital world. ICT is considered as an agent which brings society closer to each other. In the field of economics, its importance can be recognized from the concept of new classical growth theory, in which technology is considered an important determinant of output. The advocate of this theory claims that economies can never achieve stable growth without technological advancement. Regardless of the economic growth, ICT directly affects environmental quality by increasing or reducing the climate burden in the form of greenhouse gas emissions, which is major contributor of greenhouse gas emissions. According to Hilte and the ICT, by improving efficiency in production process and enhancing the use of environmentally friendly products, exert positive externality in the transport sector and help to mitigate climate burden. However, ICT also has major undeniable impact on environmental quality, as its use, disposal and recycling directly contributes a lot in greenhouse gas emissions. E-waste, which is discarded, ICT and other electronic equipment, is a major contributor in deteriorating of environmental quality. According to Global E-Waste Monitor report, from 2014 to 2017, around 44 million metric ton of e-waste generated worldwide, which further predicted to increase by 52.2 million metric ton in 2021. Okay, in this study, we have selected Asian economies. What is the motivation for Asian economies? Asian economies are the fast-growing economies, and fast-growing economies usually follow the notion that first grow, then clean the environment. So, and the other thing is, these economies are facing the issue of electronic waste. For example, according to e-waste monitoring report, 40.7% e-waste belongs to these economies, and electronic waste is the major source of many health issues and health problems. So the other thing is, with increasing economic growth, so due to scale effect, these economies are experiencing more and more demand for these goods. So this is, we have used basically environmental Kuznets framework, which is quite famous, and it belongs to Kuznets curve, which shows the relationship between inequality and development. So according to Kuznets curve, initially economies go through the scale effect, so where target is growth, not the environment. So we deliberately pollute the system, atmosphere, but after certain points, composition where energy mix is changed in favor of modern and clean technologies, and then technique effect. So we expect that after a certain point, system will convert toward clean environment. However, major challenge with environmental Kuznets curve is it supports new classical economy, and there is no scope for the intervention of government. So we assume that automatically things will be managed. So what is the next is the ecological dimension of ICT. So I have decomposed into first order impacts, that is ICT production, as we have mobile phone, delivery, use and disposal. And second order effects come through ICT applications. We are using in transport, we are using in conferences. And third order impact, change in consumer behavior. And two things are important in ICT. First is greening ICT. So greening ICT mean we are using energy efficient instruments for ICT, and greening through ICT mean we are improving environment through the applications of ICT. Three questions: does environmental Kuznets curve hold in different income groups of Asian economy? Does ICT improve the environment in Asian economies? Do environmental impacts of ICT changes across income groups of Asian economies? So data, the variables are taken International Telecommunication Union, World Bank, and we have used 4 indicators of ICT. First is fixed telephone, second fixed broadband, third is mobile, and fourth is internet users. And then we have constructed principal component analysis to make a single index of these indicators. And this is econometric model where scale term is used of GDP for to capture environmental Kuznets curve, and ICT is the index, and 2 control variable, 3 control variable. So this is the summary statistics of a different group of Asian economies, which show that there is quite differences. For example, some countries have 100% use of internet, 100 people, and on the other hand, minimum 15 out of 100 people are using internet. We have used second generation econometrics techniques, time series techniques, where is cross-section dependence test is used, and our results showed that cross-section dependency hold across all income groups. And in order to, then we use cross-sectionally augmented Dickey-Fuller test and cross-sectionally IMP-SRAN test, and these tests show that our series are first order stationary, and use Wessel co-integration test, which show that we have the long run relationship. And finally, these are our results. So here we can see red I have shown that for opposite results unexpected, and green is the results are consistent with theory. So in first we see that low income countries environmental Kuznets curve does not hold, in fact U-shaped curve hold. So it's mean as these economies are growing, they are polluting the environment, but ICT is supporting in mitigating carbon emissions. In the case of middle income countries, environmental Kuznets curve hold, ICT also helps to support the environment, and in high income countries, environmental Kuznets curve hold, but ICT deteriorate environmental quality. Same results are obtained from dynamic ordinary scales, and our conclusion is the results prove that the environmental Kuznets curve is valid for income, middle income and high income Asian economies. However, it does not exist in the case of low income Asian economies. ICT helps to support environmental quality by reducing CO2 emission in low income and middle income countries. In contrast, ICT turns out to be a source of increasing CO2 emission in high income countries. Thank you very much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much. It was a good presentation. However, I have certain comments for healthy. These are healthy comments for your improvement. Topic is very interesting. I think those who are working in the environment and they are, they are having day-to-day information, especially in the context of COP26. You have seen that there is no major breakthrough happens, but as far as the present paper is concerned, 3 authors are here and they have done a lot of work to develop this paper. However, I will not repeat what he has already presented, the debate on the role of ICT, especially first comes the environment Kuznets curve and the relationship between the two, the GDP growth rate as well as the emission. So in the light of the present development in Glasgow, previously they have not taken coal and fossil fuel like gas. This time, for the first time, they have taken coal not to scale, phase out, but just to phase down. So this is very important thing he has picked up and he has discussed. But still the debate is going on. He has, the authors have contributed a lot to the literature, but if you see the already available literature on the debate between the economic growth versus the CO2 emission, in the same country for the same economy, there are in favor of and there are against, like two types of research are available, the authors have already quoted. But the thing is, on certain stages, author can explain that there is a two-way causation between the two. So in that case, if one is affecting on the other and in turn the other one is affecting on the other one, so in that case, what is the role of, how you will explain the role of ICT? This is one observation. I'm not saying that it was in the scope of the paper, but this can be discussed because the authors have discussed some of the points which are actually not addressed in the which is not the part of that was discussed in the limitation of the study, like the size of the economy. Although all the Asian countries they have taken, but size of the economy itself was not any proxy in the model. The other thing is, as far as the control variables were concerned, Some of the control variables are very important. For example, you can see people are using ICT. You have taken the percentage share of the people, but literacy rate, understanding ICT, and FDI, especially with respect to the developing countries, these are very important variables which, if you include in the model, that would give a more clear picture. For example, in some economies, for example, Pakistan, where war on terrorism was the problem in the past, nuclear detonation was another, threat. So FDI had been highly affected, and ICT technology usually comes from abroad. Like foreign investment plays a vital role in this thing. So if you take this thing as a control variable, then my suggestion is that towards the end you have taken some of the policy measures, for example, carbon pricing. So throughout the paper you have not discussed the carbon pricing. It was not any variable. I think if you have not discussed size of the economy and carbon pricing, you can omit. You can focus suggestions. Your suggestions should be based on what you have incorporated in the paper. Now, there are two elements throughout this discussion. They have taken one ICT role, a dual role. One is that it is playing a positive, it is playing a negative role in the form of e-waste. It disturbs the environment. In case of positive, another role, like through GDP, increasing GDP and then polluting the environment. These two are a different thing. I think the side by side, if we discuss the level of effect, because level of effect is very important to whether its role is positive or negative, whether it is through green energy or through creating the e-waste, whatever. At least we should bring in our literature review, or at least we should thoroughly discuss the level of effect, so that we would be very clear. Because studies are, just like I mentioned, that still the debate is going on, and in developed countries they don't buy too much this argument. They say, oh no, this is now the thing of the past. Still the studies are proving this environment Kuznets curve. But developed countries, they are not buying this argument. So we should take that consideration in our discussion, like what are the results, because here you have taken the high income group as well. So developed countries' point of view must be incorporated while discussing the environmental Kuznets curve. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for Berit Kagan.
What do you expect about the future of economies in that context, that especially the COP26 talking about it, that we can have a sustainable future if we can switch to more work which is based from home and avoiding transportation and all other activities which use the fossil fuel. So is it one of the propositions which can be made through such bigger forums such as the COP26? Thank you.
So there are provincial climate policies, there are national climate policy. We don't see any recommendation, any policy suggestions from the government regarding e-waste. So I think it's a very important finding you have. Every paper has limitations, so we need to overcome limitations, and that's its sort of room for improvement. However, one of the recommendation can be, will be that the national climate policy or the provincial climate policy should also focus on the e-waste generation. I mean, just a comment.
First of all, I will say that it is also my own question that as we are moving towards digitization and Industry 4, and we borrow the argument for productivity, efficiency, growth, and but at the same time, particularly developing world, can they afford this whole digitization episode? And when we have millions of people which are unskilled and they cannot become the part of this digitization world. So in my view, that digitization or connectivity, these things are one way or other way, we have to live with them. So this is the present world, it is the part of present world. The only thing is we need to reform our education policies or labor market frictions or other things that we need to become more compatible with this change, and with this digitization, human touch should always remain there, because depending upon solely on digitization, so there are more economic adverse effects.
Our third and last paper is going to be on the impacts of climate change on the livelihood of wheat farmers from the district Chakwal. The paper is prepared by Sayyid Asif Ali Nakvi, Muhammad Baer, Muhammad Osman, and Bilal Hussain. Congratulations for the excellent paper. You will be the presenter, you have 12 minutes, and the discussant is going to be Muhammad Rafi.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Bilal Hussain, PhD student, Government College University, Faisalabad, and going to present the topic of impact of climate change on livelihood of wheat farmers in district Chakwal. Climate variation is a worldwide threat for environmental and development concern. According to IFAD, developing nations are more likely to be affected by the climate changes due to low adaptation rate. It is projected that climate change is likely to affect food security in the world in the mid of 21st century. A large number of people will be food insecure in the South Asia. With estimation, cereal crop production will be declined to 30% in year 2060. World Bank also incorporated Pakistan at placed 12th in highly climate affected countries. At a country-wide and integrated strategy for adapting the agriculture zone to variations in the climate is needed. Mostly studies indicates that adaptation strategies toward the climate change include the farmer awareness, new variety of seeds, that is heat-tolerant insurance of the crop, and awareness about the other social activities. For the betterment of the farmers and the way they recognize that climate change is critical to design useful strategies for the support of successful adaptation of the agriculture community. It is significant to have particular know-how about the degree and extent of adaptation techniques being taken up by the rural households and rooms for further advances in existing adaptation setup. This is the Pakistan wheat production from 2011-2016 in 2010s. The graph figure shows that highest production of wheat in Chakwal, Pakistan was 2013-14, while after that it is decreasing. Due to climate change, global food security will face greater challenge in future. According to FAO, global food security demand will be raised up to 70% more up to 2050 from 2000. China demand for food will be increased up to 25.1 million hectares from 11.6 million hectares from 2000 to 2020. Climate change is the gradual process, but it has mighty impacts on production and consumption of wheat. Pakistan has to adapt to these climate changes to sustain its wheat production in areas like District Chakwal, where there is a lot of climate change role in production of wheat for rural communities. So the purpose of this research is to analyze the impact of extreme meteorological events on the livelihoods of subsistence farming communities that are already on the verge of poverty. Material and methods. Data regarding socio-economic characteristics and farming practices were obtained from household surveys conducted in Chakwal district of Punjab. Field studies was conducted in 3 administrative units, Chakwal, namely Chakwal, Kalar Kahar, and Talagang. A systematic questionnaire was used to collect the data in 2018. The research area, 120 respondents data was collected from 120 respondents and 40 respondents from each administrative unit. Further, the past climate of the study region was analyzed by using the available weather station data. The climate change projections for the region were generated by using output of 5 general circulation models of the latest CMIPF 5 coupled model intercomparison project family. Crop modeling was done using these 5 different general circulation models, and yield simulations were done with each general circulation model. The baseline period was taken as a reference of comparison to assess the change in the projected climate change, that was 1981-2010. A socio-economic impact evaluation was conducted using the decision support system for agro-technological transfer crop model. Trade-off analysis for multidimensional impact assessment model. Various techniques has been used for climate change assessment, such as global change assessment model, integrated assessment model, and trade-off analysis model for multidimensional impact assessment. We used trade analysis model for multidimensional impact assessment because it compares heterogeneous population, which is not feasible with other models. Trade analysis model for multidimensional impact assessment is a simulation model developed for assessing the multidimensional effect of agriculture and aquaculture technologies, analyzing ecosystem service provision, and assessing climate impact of adaptation. These are the main system variables of trade model. Under the analysis of climate change, a farmer facing expected product and input prices at a site using production system act as an returns V in each period equation. This is the equation. Y is the productivity in per net farm income, and PCI represent the per capita income, while MNFR and POV indicate the mean net farm return and poverty respectively. In this experiment, the population of farms is given the option of sticking with the present or base production system, system 1, or switching to a new system, system 2. For this system 1 and 2, data was used for a period of 1981-2010, and for the system 2, data was taken 1940 to 2060. These are the descriptive static household and farm particulars. Descriptive static shows that average age of the farmers was 46 years, while in case of education and number of household members, mean value of these variables were 10 and 9 respectively. Farming experience was mean value of farming experience was 22, whereas total land holdings of mean value of total land holdings was 6.94 acre. Mean value of production in months was 19.71, whereas price amount was 1187. This is the summary statistics of the base production system for wheat. For each strata, namely Chakwal, Kalar Kahar, and Talagang, the household from Chakwal strata, household size from Chakwal strata was 9.11, whereas in case of Kalar Kahar and Talagang was 9 and 9.12. In the same way, the other variables, mean values are also given in table. These are the gains, losses, and net impacts as percent of mean net farms return for the selected GCM models. These are the 5 GCM models, and gains and losses are given. Net impact of each GCM model is negative. Climate sensitivity of current agriculture production system for the wheat cropping system of district Chakwal in GCM CM2 BNU. This is the first GCM model. Here the result shows that without climate change, wheat production has declined minus 5.7, whereas with climate change was minus 2.6. In the same way, observed net returns per farm per year was 1,28,330. In first GCM model, observed poverty rate was observed 28%, whereas with climate change was 30.55%. In GCM model 2, this observed poverty rate was without climate change 28%, whereas with climate change 31%. In GCM3 model, also observed poverty rate was with climate of change 29% and with climate change was 31%. In all the GCM model, we observed that without climate change there was poverty rate low, but with climate change poverty rate has been increased. Conclusion and policy implication. Less developed countries are more vulnerable to climate change with respect to developed countries. Developed nations can cope on climate conditions with advanced technology and higher adoption rate. But developing countries are climate sensitive because there are no technology available. By using TOMD, findings of the study shows that climate change have negative impact on the farmers. It is clear from the results of the study that farmers are vulnerable to climate change in future. Those who completely depend on agriculture sector livelihood. It reduces the per capita income, raises the poverty rate of farming community. Adaptation to this climate change will decrease the poverty level and increases per capita income of the farmers. The study recommended that government and policymakers to focus on technological progress to assess the climate variability. There is also need to enhance the water availability to increase the productivity of wheat and maintenance of irrigation system for enough allocation of water demand in the dry season. Thanks.
Thank you, Bilal, for a very good presentation. I've gone through your paper. It's very well written. You have picked up a very important issue, an important problem which Pakistan is facing. Pakistan is the seventh most vulnerable country. And I'm very pleased to see that somebody has come out of the usual methodologies that were adopted. For example, the Ricardian equation was used. For example, the determinants of, in a separate study, determinants of adaptations were used. And I could see all that in one study using GCM and other techniques that you have used. So that's an important contribution. However, you haven't highlighted your innovative part. It should be highlighted that this is the innovation that you have come up with. Yes. So I have few comments to make and a few queries also. One is that you have used the socio-economic data of 120 farmers. Am I right? So there is no justification for the sample size as why 120 were used. Did you use any sampling formula? I mean, just incorporate. No, just note it down. Yeah, I just want you to help. It's just extending help you to publish your study, and that would be to justify your sample size. Using there are online sampling calculators available. You can refer to them. You can refer to any precedents, something like that. So 120 is why it's being used. Secondly, you also talk about the adaptation, right? But I didn't see any adaptation.
No, adaptation is not
covered. But I did see somewhere, in your paper when I was just looking at your paper. So you did mention the adaptation.
This paper was a part of a project AGMIP, and that was included.
Okay, so that's an important point. Then your recommendations, they do include some adaptation measures. So if you haven't included in your model, so that shouldn't be part of your recommendation. Your recommendation purely should be based upon your, estimation. If it's not estimated, so you have to figure out whether you have to go for mixed methodologies to do some KIs and say these people are saying. Moreover, the recommendations are not very innovative. When you look at the national climate change policy, you would see that these recommendations are already there. Sowing patterns should be delayed. Those something you mentioned.
Yes.
So those are there. And the two more important points is that you mentioned the wheat farmers, but you did mention the rice production. You did mention the peanut production. You also mentioned the rabi crop and kharif crop. So this was very confusing for me as a reader. So just try to improve your text. Just change the way of your write-up so that either it should be purely wheat growing farmers.
It was on wheat, but in the text, because it was a part of project, it was peanut and rice included, and that was typo mistake वो wheat and rice and
Just comment. Last comment is that the questionnaire validation, I didn't see whether the questionnaire was validated or not, whether this was used somewhere else or did you validate it, so it's not mentioned. Please mention that the questionnaire was validated or it was used in previous studies, something like this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. इस तरह करना चाहिए कि रिकमेंडेड गवर्नमेंट को ये करना चाहिए कि जब जी 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 ठीक है मैं थैंक यू ओके
Thank you, sir. So, please go ahead.
So I would like to ask you two questions. It's a very good thought study, but still I got some really climate change. Do you find any difference between the two phenomena, or you don't see that difference? I think we should clarify that. Because climate variation is a short-term phenomenon, it's not a change in of the climate. The second thing I would like you to discuss a little bit, if you go back in one or two backward in the slide. Yes. Here the first one is the mean yield change in the wheat. That is the decrease in the yield, I would say, you are showing. But you without climate change are showing a higher decrease, and with climate change is a smaller decrease. So how are you going to justify that?
in the mostly study says that wheat climate change has a positive impact on wheat, but I clear that it has not a positive, it has a less impact without climate change. Maybe it will be a typo mistake. I will incorporate this, but
So you should check it.
I will.
Thank you. Excellent question. Let's take two more questions. Please go ahead.
Around 40 years ago, the output of our land was much more than in 2015. In 2015 and 16 till he was alive, he told me, and I had a discussion with him after watching the Al Gore's documentary who run for the presidential election in United States on climate change. And I asked him this question. I still remember that what was the output of our land like 20 or 30 years ago, and he told despite the modern technology which we have now, which was not there around like 30-40 years ago, and it was very difficult, the tractors and people were using bull carts and that sort of stuff for the land and that stuff. So I completely agree that over the period of time, despite the pesticides and those things which increase your crops output, your land output, but the climate has disastrously impacted the farmer. And we don't have the canal system and the water, we depend on the inner drains. So yes, this is I completely second it, that this is a major issue in district Chakmal, and temperature and the climate has changed, and that has impacted the crops and output of the farmers. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the comment. There was no question there, but just can we get that question? Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Lal. First of all, I would like to congratulate you for a wonderful presentation. My question is that is the climate change is a sole responsible variable for the wheat production, or have you incorporated the other variables? Have you incorporated the control? Have you included other control variables to discuss on a broader scenario, on a wide canvas, that why wheat production is affected in these districts? Is a climate change is a only responsible factor, or have you incorporated other? Would you like to please comment?
No. Climate change is not only a factor, but it has a major role, especially temperature. In milking period, temperature has a more impact on the wheat, and the seed has been shrinking and the production decreased. That's why climate has a negative impact on wheat, and it has also negative impact on other crops as well.
So for your second model, you mentioned the data for 2016. use some forecasting or whatever techniques you try to mention?
जी ठीक है.
So I'm Dua from PIDE and I'm also an environmental economics student. So what I'm getting is that, what I'm asking you is that like we already know that climate change has an impact on wheat or like other crops. So what is your study, like what's the new thing that your study is providing?
Actually, this study is a part of a project of agricultural modeling intercomparison improvement project that was included in 3 crops: peanut, rice, and wheat. In that study, new thing is the methodological framework. Is very innovative technique in which we include a present situation and projected a future 2040-2070 and tell us that if these climate increased and we have no adaptation strategy, then our production output will increase in next 2041, 2042 till 2070 will decreased.
Thank you so much. Applause. That brings to close this session. We've heard from a study that looks at the district level impact of climate change, another study that looks at the national level, ICT, relation, and then there's a study that looks at predictive prices of living communities with the climate factors. So, brilliant study. They have clear policy recommendations. We're honored to have the chief economist of the Planning Commission here. I'm sure he'll be taking his recommendation in his deliberation moving forward. Thank you for the presenters, Abdul Subhan, Najib, and Bilal. Excellent presentations. Thanks for the discussion, Naila and Muhammad. Round of applause for everybody who contributed.
Thank you so much.